All right, I missed the clock. I was raring to go. So, not that late. Actually moved pretty quickly this morning. Haven't seen the end of the Pelicans game, although I know what happened. I was watching it when I woke up and I know the outcome, unfortunately. Also, new weight loss low. I can only go by what the scale says, although I'm not really believing the scale. I'm down 19 and a half pounds, almost 20 pounds. And now starting tonight, it's Passover. We'll see if that's good or bad. All right. I won't eat junk food per se. No candy bars, no chips or anything like that. Got to stay hydrated, though. That's the important thing. But I am down 20 pounds, almost. So we'll see what it is. Big difference. And finally, interesting. Just bear with me. It is the Schultzycast. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody had a good weekend. We got Cajuns falling to Coastal. LSU may have saved their season. Pelicans fall. Cajuns Softball win their 87th straight Sun Belt Series. LSU coming in on Tuesday. And we're talking weight loss. And then we got Bourbon Raffles. So I will post those in the we'll talk about those a little bit later. But we'll post those in the YouTube description. All right. But it is interesting how the process goes, right? And for the longest time, trust the process. I never really knew what that meant back in the Mike Lateef days. And so I lost a lot of weight. This started Valentine's Day. I was basically 230. And I lost like 9 to 10 pounds really quickly. And I didn't lose anything in March for whatever reason. And then by the end of the month, all of a sudden I'm pulling a belt loop a little bit tighter, and boom, got to the 215 mark. Then, a couple weeks later, as it turns out, I'm at the 215 mark, and yesterday, or the 212 mark, and then the 210 mark. And I got on the bike yesterday, and I have an indoor bike, not a Peloton, Echelon. And I did 45 minutes for the first time in forever. Usually I only do a half an hour and I'm struggling. Yesterday I wasn't struggling. Or on Saturday I wasn't struggling. And then on Sunday when I went to Orange Theory, I realized I can probably go a little faster. And now admittedly, and I'm only hurting myself when I do this, kind of cheat the Orange Theory deal. If the idea is to get splat points, once the heart rate gets going, I can get it to where I'm not exerting all of my energy and still get splat points. So that's a little bit cheating, but I can go a little faster. So that's pretty good. So we'll see what happens here with Passover. Can I get the goal would be, under 205, going to Louisville for my nephew's high school graduation. It happens to be the same weekend as the PGA Championship. So there may be a little bit going on down there. And if I could be 205, that would be 25 pounds in basically 3 months. That's a lot. That's a real lot. And if I'm really good, maybe more, but we'll see. You got to adjust to what reality is. All right. So reality is that the Cajuns lost 2 out of 3 to Coastal Carolina. And I didn't want to overreact to an opportunity lost because they absolutely had an opportunity to win that series. At the same time, and this is why it was such a great series, the Cajuns, at about the second inning, after the second inning on Saturday in game 1, it kind of looked like they were going to get swept. It did not look good for the home team, as the judge would say. And they put themselves in a position to have a chance to win the series. And boy, did that matter, winning that one game on Saturday. They've gone from 55 before the series to 43. And maybe did it get to 42? Excuse me. Let me see here. They are this morning, they are 43. They even went up overnight because a couple things. La Tech moved up into the 60s, so that's a quad 1 win on the road. And LSU did move up into the 40s, so that's a quad 1 loss neutral. That's big. So let's it's sometimes tough to do with a lockdown Sunbelt because you're a little bit more down the middle. And obviously here I'll be a little bit more slanted because we're here in Lafayette. So first things first, I obviously disappointed in the starting pitching. I mean, however you want to put it, I know Cajun fans weren't happy with the strike zone on Friday. I thought the strike zone maybe in game 1 on Saturday was a little bit low. Needless to say, the starting pitching was just bad. Herman went an inning and 2/3. Morgan went a little bit longer than that on Saturday in game 1, and Fluno lasted 9 batters. So I'm going to chalk that up to nerves and gaining experience, because otherwise I'm really nervous moving forward. All right. Because they pitched well. They've pitched well at Texas State. And I'm a little bit nervous. Now they're coming home to pitch against Southern Miss, so they'll be relaxed, but they're still going to Georgia Southern. They're still going to Troy. So we got to work those things out. All right. On the other hand, LP Langevin is outstanding. Him and David Christie almost saved the entire series. I mean, David Christie, 6 1/3 innings. That's outstanding. All right. JT Etheridge didn't pitch well. Jack Martinez didn't pitch well. That's a little bit disappointing. Blake Marshall, not so great. So that's disappointing. And as far as I'm concerned, as great as the bats are, and boy, Kyle DeBarge, I mean, and who knew he was a big banana guy? He's played every inning of every game. It'd be nice to get him to not play a game, but he didn't even come out, cramped up badly in game 1, right? And, he's struggling to run the bases and struggling to swing. And then, of course, he doubles in his first at-bat in game 2. All right. So he's got to be healthy. But the Cajuns' pitching is what's going to win the series. They're not going anywhere without good pitching. All right. They have, allegedly, they have very good pitching, starting pitching. It didn't show up this weekend. All right. The defense also struggled. So as bad as the home plate umpire was, according to Cajuns fans, on Friday, if Amity makes a play, it's 2 outs, nobody on. That's a double play ball. Smashed right at him, and it's 2 outs. Around the horn, the DHS Bender's not, beating that play at first. So make the play, it's 2 outs, nobody on. Instead, he doesn't. Got a chance to get out of it with the 3 runs, doesn't make another play. And I'm going to, somewhere along the way, I'm going to have to go back and count how many 2-out runs Coastal got, because it was a bunch. When they scored, let's see here. They scored 12 and 9. That's 21 and 6, 27. I wouldn't be surprised if 13 or 14 with 2-out runs. They scored too many 2-out runs. So not great. Okay. Now, if you look back at the entire series, again, the Cajuns had a shot, to get swept. And then what they did on Saturday is they kept on scratching across runs, which they did not do on Friday, right? Because they had a chance. Go back and look on Friday. They weren't getting retired in order, and they couldn't scratch across runs. Finally, they scratch across some runs, and they make it a 6-5 ball game. And then the Coastal bullpen melts down, right? They even, tie the game up on a wild pitch. Couldn't get a big base hit, but I got a couple of sacrifice flies. That works. And all of a sudden, you're winning by 2. And again, they can't touch Langevin. Okay. Again, I found this interesting. I said on the Sunbelt podcast, Langevin doesn't use the wristband, right? He's not looking at the watch or whatever, right? And as far as I can see, Torres isn't looking at Gunnar. Now, I know there's not a whole repertoire of what Langevin's throwing. It's basically fastball, slider, and maybe location. But other than that, I mean, here it is. Here is the fastball. See if you can hit it. And they could not. All right. And then take a little bit off with a little bit of movement, and you're done. And I mean, that was outstanding by LP Langevin. I mean, I don't know if he could get pitcher of the year in the Sun Belt, but you'd be hard pressed to find a better pitcher than LP Langevin in the Sun Belt. Period. End of story. So the Cajuns went from look like they were going to get swept to now they could win the series. right? Once again, they scored runs in the first inning, all 3 ball games. They take a 1-0 lead. Fluno gets out of the first, but couldn't get out of the second. And it's a 3-1 game. Cajuns come back. Kyle DeBarge makes it a 4-3 game. It's 4-4 game, then a 6-4 game, then a 6-6 game. And the Cajuns take a 10-6 lead. All right. And you're like, oh my God, can they do this? And the answer was no. The lead didn't last 6 outs. You did have Holtzhammer available, didn't use him. A guy that was really vital was the backup left fielder. You hope that, you got to look who the starting left fielder was, but you hope he's okay. His ankle gave way on a double off the wall and left. And then Alexander, who made a really nice catch on a foul ball into the stands, he gets a couple of walks. The guy's hitting 200 throw strikes. I mean, just you can't be walking the guy hitting 197. So that comes back to bite you. Also, and I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know the whole thing. I know that Gary Gilmore, has talked about some guys coming back, and maybe is Mendelson, the 21, could have been one of those injured pitchers coming back. But the Cajuns had what appeared to be an advantage with the bullpen. And I mean, a couple of those Coastal guys couldn't break a pane of glass, and the Cajuns could do nothing with it. Now, here's also what I talked about with Gilmore on Locked On Sunbelt. You can do everything right and still not have a good outcome, and that's baseball, right? You can hit one off the end of that. It's a swing and bunt or a flare, and, it goes through. Or the other way, Cajuns hit a couple line drives off the Carolina bullpen, and they were right at like the second baseman, the first baseman, and then the third baseman. All right. You can't do anything about that. Whereas I think Dooley, the shortstop, after Alexander walked, hit a seeing eye ground ball through the right side. Didn't hit it very well, but it just bounced through the hole. So that's kind of the difference. Cajuns, should mention, did have runners on at second and third against Meckley, who a lot like Langevin, just here's the fastball, see if you can catch up to it. Pastore couldn't catch up to it, and Stelly couldn't catch up to it. I don't know if we'll get an answer today. I'm not sure where Josh Alexander is. Something's not right with Josh Alexander. I thought Josh Alexander was a perfect spot. I would rather have Josh at the 9 hole, but I understand why he's not, because otherwise, if you do Alexander, Taylor, and LaFleur, then you got 3 lefties in a row. That doesn't break it up. So you can, line up the bullpen. But I don't know if Alexander's hurt or he's in the doghouse. But one or the other, he's not. He's, when you're putting Trey LaFleur in center, and Mandino, who I don't think had a bad series, and Juhas is in right. I mean, Juhas drops a fly ball. He just drops a fly ball, right? And this team is, pitching and defense. You just can't have that. Mandino did fall down, but I think that was the ball more than him, right? It was hit to left center or that way, and then it went back the other way, so he had to backtrack, and he's moving from his left to right and then going back the other way, and he stumbled, but he made the catch. But I want to know where Josh Alexander is, and that's, I'll ask an open-ended question. Not a leading question. What's Josh Alexander's status, and why didn't he start this weekend, or why hasn't he been in the lineup on a regular basis? So now where the Cajuns are. Okay, so my concern with the RPI has always been the idea is not unlike basketball, is not to rely on the Sun Belt Conference tournament. That's the deal. I don't want to worry. I don't want the whole season to come down to one weekend. And again, they have moved up very nicely. They're sitting at 43. Now they're playing Houston Christian this week. I mean, you can't lose that ball game. That's on Wednesday. Can't lose that ball game. And then you get Southern Miss. They're at 31-11. They scheduled to win 40 to 45 ball games. Winning 45 is going to be that's tough, because you only have 14 games left. Can you win? Is that right? No. You have 3, 6, 12. Yeah, you have 4 series left. You only have 14 games left. So you're going to be tough to win 45. All right. Yeah. So they've already lost 11. So they have 56 games. You can't win, unless you go on a winning streak and win all of them again. It's going to be tough to win 45. Not that they just didn't do that. But how many do they have to win, again, to make sure you don't have to win the tournament? All right. Not that they're not going to try, and we talked with Gary Gilmore about that. Because once you get into the tournament, and if you're in the 30s, high 30, or low 30s, if the case may be, it's like 31, 32, I think you're in. But I don't want to be sitting there at 38 and lose the first game. And now, like, we're sitting at Memorial Day and you're like, oh, God. Even if you win the Sun Belt, which is now ranked 5th in ELO, whatever that means, but the 5th ranked conference is the Sun Belt. So if you win, and, having a Twitter conversation this morning, if you win 2 out of 3 series, 2 out of 3 in every series, that's 8. And you win the 2 midweek games, that's 10. And so now that's 41 and 15. Just telling you, their RPI right now for predicted results is, this has changed dramatically. So this is a problem. Okay. So I tweeted it out and it's changed already this morning. All right. So let me see what I tweeted out just to make sure. Okay. Let me see. I did it. And this is a great example of it. All right. Let me see what I did. But where did I do it? Replies. All right. All right. So Louisiana, at U of Louisiana. All right. Let me see if I can find this. And it started a conversation last night because their RPI continued to go up because LSU went up and La Tech went up. And now I'm having trouble finding the RPI. Where did it go? All right. Here you go. All right. So the RPI was 43. I thought I did it. Where did it go? Like this. Hold on. All right. So I got a picture of it. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. So earlier this morning, before I started, the predicted results on Warren Nolan was 44 and 12. So they're going to lose one more ball game. All right. And finish with an RPI of 27. That's what I'm talking about. You're in, right? No problem there. Go win a Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship. You've already won the conference. Go win a Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship, and you actually have an outside shot to host. Outside shot. Right? Even with that RPI at 27 and non-conference strength of schedule 133. But you're 44 and 12, RPI 27, you're definitely in. And again, an outside shot to host. Their ELO was like 16. All right. But because this thing changes on a regular basis, here's the problem. And I don't know who they got them losing to, here. Hold on a second. Let me see. All right. Well, this is ridiculous. The math is off here. I don't know what happened here. They have a predicted record of 37 and 19. Okay. They have them getting swept at home by Southern Miss and getting swept by Troy. Okay. So that I don't think is going to happen. However, if it does, now you're sitting at 37 and 19 with an RPI of 69 and you have to win the conference tournament. Now, I don't think 44 and 12 is going to happen. And I don't think 37 and 19 is going to happen. But that's the point, right? Is that they got to win closer to 45 games than 39 games. That's the problem. All right. So there is pressure, but that's the way this team was scheduled. And a couple of those early season losses to Wright State and Rice and Houston, for that fact of the matter. Forget the Wright one because you took 2 out of 3. But if you take 2 out of 3 from Wright, say you get 2 more wins right now. Say you had 2 more wins and you had 33, even against you beat Rice and you beat Houston. You'd be looking a little bit better, right? You'd have 33 wins, and now those 10 would be 43 wins. You're definitely in. So that's my only concern moving forward. You still have to win all these series, because if you win just the home series and lose the other series, now you're 6-6. Now you finish up the season 8-6, which puts them where? 39 and, well, there you go. 39-17. And that's a problem. That's going to be an issue. Well, that's a problem. So that is my concern. Again, I don't think they're finishing up 44-12, and I don't think they're going to finish up 39-17, especially getting swept at home by Southern Miss. I mean, I appreciate that Southern Miss is probably better than we think, but I just don't know. I don't think they're going to sweep them. And I think Herman will be better at home. Good luck against Langevin. There was a little bit of, we got to say it, Jackson Halter had a base hit, a little bit of an overreaction, I thought, to the Saturday game 1 lineup. Not so much with Amity coming out, because you make 2 errors, you're coming out. Huff, I thought, played well. Halter, I mean, they got base hits and they scored a run in the first game of game 1. That was big. So we'll see if there is an overreaction to the starting pitching this week. I would think not, but I just wouldn't. Let's see what they got at home. Okay. I will say, in hashtag always bright side, they're well rested, right? Herman went an inning and 2/3. Again, Morgan, I think, worked into the 4th, maybe the 5th, and Fluno went 9 batters. So they're all really rested. No one pitched a whole lot. Herman may have pitched a bunch of pitches, but it wasn't a whole lot. You got to get JT Etheridge and Martinez going. All right. And Blake Marshall, for that fact of the matter. Again, if these guys got to get going in the right direction, because somewhere along the way, Blake Marshall's the reason that you were in the NCAA tournament last year to begin with, right? I don't expect him to be as dominant as what he was last year, but you got to get guys out, and you can't be walking them. All right. And when you get the 2 outs, you got to get those big outs. There were a couple of interesting decisions. I will say that, they pitched to Brown for a 3rd time after he hit 2 home runs. They almost hit a 3rd one. That was off the wall. And you pitched to Barthol, and he got a 2-run double. Those are interesting decisions. Sometimes you can't pitch around guys. I think they pitched to Brown. He popped up. Now he came up one time with runners on 1st and 2nd. And you don't usually walk guys with 1st and 2nd, but that's still a base open. Now, so that's things. So it's Alexander. We'll ask Deggs today about Alexander, and we'll ask about the decisions to pitching to Brown and Barthol with bases open. That's about it. I'm not sure if those would have changed the outcome of the series, but it was a great series. Cajuns, get a win, move up from 55 to 43. Again, they'd probably be, did they move down this week? Did they just move down? Let me see. Because, no, they're still 43. Because if they, if they won, they would actually be, they'd be in the 30s and looking pretty. They could be sitting at 35, and God forbid if they swept, which that was out the door basically after the 1st inning. They could be a top 30 team. So those wins are important against those good RPI teams. Right now, you're still looking at Coastal. Quickly, let's look at the standings. And again, it gives you a good idea on Warren Nolan in the standings. It's going to be very interesting to see if JMU can get into the tournament. JMU is 24-15, but they got a RPI of 50, right? So you're looking at Coastal Carolina, who's got an RPI of 13. Unless the bottom falls out, they're getting in. I still think the Cajuns are getting in. They got an RPI of 43. Troy is 71. That'll be interesting. Troy's got pretty good. Like, they're at Coastal, so that could move up, right? They have James Madison in the Cajuns, so they have a pretty good situation right now, okay? As we mentioned, Southern Miss is 50, so they're probably going to have a shot. JMU's 23, and then on the outside looking in right now, South Alabama is 68. They're hosting JMU. So South Alabama's had a back-and-forth season. Got off to a great start earlier this year, did beat Alabama a couple weeks ago, but they really never recovered from losing to Nebraska and got off to an awful start. I don't know about injuries or anything like that. Haven't been following it that close. But they have started to turn their season around, and they get JMU this weekend. So if they beat JMU 2 out of 3, they'll be 10 and 11 in the Sun Belt, probably closer to 5th than they are 10th. And their RPI, which is sitting at 68, will probably be in the top 50, if not top 40. So we'll watch out for that. And remember, you need to be in the top 10 to make it into the Sun Belt Conference tournament. And so we shall see what's going on there. All right, it is a Monday morning Schultzycast. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. So basically, did LSU save their season? Oh, they were down 2-0 and a really sloppy 2-0. Like first and second, and a wild pitch gets 2 runners over, and then a ground ball under Milam's glove scores 2 runs, and it's 2-0. But the bats come alive. I don't know what his name is, but the Missouri left fielder struggled yesterday. But LSU did what they had to do, and they actually moved up. They were sitting right there with the Cajuns at 40. It's interesting watching them go back and forth, like the mid 40s, like literally 45 and 46, 47, 48, 44, 45. But LSU moved up. They're in the 30s, which again, I know doesn't make Cajuns fans happy, but it should, because again, now their loss is a quad 1 loss. LSU is 39, and was going to jump all over the whole super regional chat. I don't think that's the case. But again, their RPI, if they finished up, if they win all the rest of the series, starting with that one, and they finish up 10-5, they're absolutely getting in, and they'll be close to hosting. I don't think they'll be a national seed, because you're going to need those teams to lose. But if they finish up 10-5, and that means taking 2 out of 3 from Alabama, 2 out of 3 from A&M, forget about the Auburns and Ole Miss. Those are the 2 hard parts. But if you take 2 out of 3 the rest of the way, including what they just did, they finish up 10-5, they're going to be on the borderline of hosting. Forget about whether they're getting in or not, right? And you can see what their RPI did. Their RPI probably wouldn't be a top 50 club right now if they lost to Missouri on Sunday. And now they're top 40 at 38. So what a big difference. And again, that helps out the Cajuns. That's how you go from 45 to 44 to 43. Let's see. Do they have a midweek game this week? Oh, they're 39 right now. Excuse me. Okay, so they have Nichols, which their RPI is 96. Missouri's RPI is 94. So that doesn't hurt you almost at all. Then you get Auburn. You are playing Grambling. That's not going to help. And then you get A&M. And so, it's they have 3 midweek games left. And again, you just got to take it. You don't really want to hear. You don't want to hear about the hosting. And if we play well, we'll be, national, super regional. No. We just need to concentrate on what we're doing. Really. We can talk about it, but I don't really want to hear from the players. Well, we can still be the national seed, and, we're still the best team in the country. They're not. And I don't think they played like it this week. They did a good job of getting a win yesterday when they needed one, but they got to grind out wins. All right. And they may have saved their season yesterday. Although, again, even yesterday, if they lose and they're top 50, you take 2 out of 3 from A&M, it's going to go up. You take 2 out of 3 from Alabama, it's going to go up. So they still have a pretty good outside shot of getting in for sure if they lost the series to Missouri. But now, again, they have a shot at hosting. And that has to do with, fair or not, they'll put 10,000 fans in there. And here's the one thing that would be different this year if LSU is hosting, to me. And even if they're playing well to get in now, if they win a bunch in a row, it'll be different. But if they kind of grind their way to series wins and end up, as a 15 or 16 seed in the tournament, it's not a guaranteed that they're gonna win. Like they would get, and you'd hope it wouldn't be the Cajuns, they would get the second best, or they may get the first or second best number 2 seed. And that would be, there's no guarantee. That's what would make it interesting, is that there's no guarantee that LSU is going to win the series. That's what would make it intriguing. Now LSU has to grind one out. Now it's not like, all right, who are they taking on? And, can they, take A&M or Arkansas on in the Super Regional? No. It's grind another regional championship out. And that would, compared to last year where you just didn't think it would be a problem. Right? In other years where you didn't think it would be a problem. I don't know if it would be a problem, but it would be interesting. I don't think it's a guaranteed win, although you've had, watch LSU and the magic at the box. It is something seeing other teams melt. It happens. It happens. And a lot like at Lamson Park, where we've seen, that's called a segue, teams melt as well. All right, Cajuns take 2 out of 3. I don't know if Southern Miss melted this weekend. Cajuns won the first game 2-1. Sam Landry was outstanding. Gave up a home run to the Sunbelt leading home run hitter. That was about it. Cajuns offense didn't do much of anything, and win 2-1. Got 2 early runs and played good defense. Then the Bats came alive in game 2, which was game 1 on Saturday. Did we get any weather on Sunday? Did I miss the weather? It was chilly. Did it rain? I went to Orange Theory, but I don't remember if it rained. Anyway, they moved up the doubleheader because of, I guess, bad weather, potentially. And they won that ball game 9-2. So they've won 87 straight Sunbelt series, which again is totally underplayed anywhere and everywhere. And they get LSU on Tuesday. Cool that the baseball team isn't playing. It'd be nice to see a packed Lamson Park. I don't necessarily need 2,000 overflow regional Sunbelt Championship Super Regional crowd. And it is a Tuesday, and it's probably at 6. I don't think anything else is going on. Cajuns play on Wednesday. Baseball. Let's see if it's 1,500. Also, I'm going to have to get there early, which I really don't mind. I mean, I was at Lamson Park all day on Saturday. Even snuck into the Cajuns football scrimmage, which I probably got yelled at for. But I was there to say hi and nothing more. But I didn't want to miss any of the baseball. It's only a 15-minute drive, but that could be a half inning. I didn't want to miss any of the baseball, so I was at Lamson Park from noon on Saturday to after the softball game, which was at 6. So the baseball game started at 1 Eastern time, so that's noon our time. So the second softball game ended before the second baseball game ended, but it wasn't much. I'd probably gone by 6:30. Yeah, but it was a long day at Lamson. All right, so we'll see that. I think the Cajuns softball will host. Probably won't be a national seed. And we'll see how good they are, right? They really need like a third pitcher, but we'll see. All right, it is the Schultzycast episode. Did I do that right? Episode 21. I don't know if I did that right. Maybe I have to edit it. It is 21, so that's pretty cool. Pelicans with a tough loss. Could have stole one last night. And Brandon Ingram, I think his days with the Pelicans are numbered. 5 of 17, not great. They absolutely had a shot. Couple things going to work at this, right? Something that I wanted, right, was having a week off. And I think it showed with Oklahoma City, a little rust. Hadn't played for a week. Pelicans were in their 4th game in a week, but had a couple of days off in there, right? I think they played on Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, and had a quick turnaround for Sunday. But they're relatively rested and played really good defense. Like, what was it, 43 all at half? Something like that. 46 all. The last time that the Pelicans played the Thunder scored 40 in the second quarter. Meanwhile, now they only have, 45-ish, whatever it was, in the first half. Again, haven't seen the whole ball game, but I saw that they had like 4 chances at the end. Didn't get it done. I could be wrong. I don't know if I'm going to call him out or not on Twitter. I'm sure he'll go nuts on me. But Dave Smith, a national talk show host who I think does a great job, was calling out Willie Green on why he didn't play Brandon Ingram against the Lakers at the end and where he was 4-12 shooting. And I think he had like 12 points. Well, guess what? He's 5 of 17 shooting in this one. Passed up a mid-range jumper to give him the lead, turned it over. Now, CJ misses an open three on that same thing. But again, they had all kinds of opportunities. I guess Murphy didn't get a shot the last few minutes. Herb started out well and then faded offensively. Again, that's the kind of game where, you catch Oklahoma City flat, rusty. I'm presuming it'll be different. I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma City kind of does a little bit better in game 2. They're talking about Zion coming back May 1st, but I'm not holding my breath for that one. No. Not holding my breath for that one. They're not playing with Zion. Brandon Ingram's got to play better. I think we're seeing the end of Brandon Ingram in New Orleans. I'm not sure what you're going to get for him. I think Brandon Ingram is a really good Robin. I don't think he's a Batman. He's not. He's not Dame. He's not Kawhi when they play well. He's not Giannis. He's not Zion. And I know he hasn't played a lot, and that was the excuse for what I said. And again, you don't have to be, 15 and 17. But geez, could he be 10 at 17? 8 out of 17? So he struggled. But I don't know what you're gonna be able to get for him. But I think we're seeing the ends of BI. I think he's moving on. We'll see if they can get this ball game. Would have been nice to get this one because now all the pressure is on Oklahoma City to win the second game. All right. Now the pressure's on the Pelicans. And the Pelicans, for whatever reason, play better on the road. They do a good job. They're not affected by the crowd, it doesn't appear. They had a shot. And that's the kind of game in a playoff series where you're disappointed, right? Like, that was my opportunity. That was absolutely my opportunity. So a little bit disappointing coming up short in that one. Let me see. Do we have another topic? I don't think so. We've already been going for almost 40 minutes. Let's see here. We had a bunch of topics. All right. Yeah, we did this. Okay. Again, we will have one thing we're going to have to deal with. I told you we have to get to Lamson early because I'm sure there'll be LSU media, but I'm sure they're going to set them up outside. We're going to get Mike Desimo Tuesday. And hopefully he's as close to 6 as possible. And then we can run back to the softball game. All right, so we're going to miss the beginning of the softball game to get Mike Desimo. Cajuns having spring game. It's inside. It's closed to the public. We'll see. I will say there were a bunch of spring games, and teams are doing what they can. I didn't see a whole big crowd at JMU, but they allowed fans, I guess people who contributed to the NLI and NIL funds to call plays in like the second half, which is fun. Cole Swindell put on a concert for Georgia Southern. That's outstanding. However, so we got a report from my buddy Craig Stevenson that South Alabama wanted to play vanilla and not show anything. Okay, that's a thing. That's fine. I guess Lane Kiffin was doing that as well, and that has the idea of the portal behind it. Like, I'm not going to show anything, and I'm not going to give, a chance for second and third stringers to be highlighted, and maybe someone comes calling with a little bit of cash, which is fine. But Gio Lopez, who I thought was going to be the starter, kind of automatically for South Alabama, did not complete one pass in 13. You can't tell me you did a vanilla offense and a vanilla defense, and the kid couldn't complete a pass. Like, they couldn't been, a dump off to a running back, a swing pass, a little out, a little in, a little slant. Are we all trying to, we're trying to fit these in little windows? Didn't complete one pass? That's a problem. All right. So as of, April 22nd, it would appear to me that the South Alabama quarterbacking job is wide open heading into the fall. Like, we don't know who's number one. I'm sure you're going to take all of what happened in the spring into consideration, but if you're hoping from the South Alabama point of view that you're, having a set number one heading into fall, I don't think you do. So I don't know if the freshman is going to do it. Is that Mary Montgomery's quarterback? Yeah, that is a tough spot for Major Applewhite breaking a new quarterback, because you know what? The quarterbacks are coming up with, the last three quarterbacks or last three seasons, right? They had Jake Bentley, who was among the NCAA career leaders in yardage. You're getting a bunch of experience there. You bring Carter Bradley in, who's been in college for like 3 years. He's got his father's a football coach in the NFL. He's got an NFL arm, and you got this great offensive line, and he can hand the ball off. Now you're breaking in a new quarterback, a little bit different. Tough spot for Major Applewhite. We'll see what happens this season. All right. To wrap things up, there are a couple of Bourbon Raffles out there. I don't think I'm talking out of turn. Let's see. Rouse's is just a straight raffle. It's a Mother's Day raffle. So you just sign up. I'll put links either on their Facebook page or their website. And it's a straight raffle. You put your email in there and, watch for the junk email. If, you can, it gets out that the entries are in, or people announce it on Facebook. Hey, did you get in? And you'll find out one way or another. I did get a Michter's 10. So here, we'll tell you the difference here in a second with these raffles. And everyone's doing it a little bit differently. Like Ambassador Wine and Spirits, we had a tasting, balconies, and it was $25, and they fed us, right? And you have a chance to win a bottle. It was a Penelope Rio, which I did win, and also a chance at a Pappy, which I did not win. But it was $25. So we're doing $25 for the tasting, which is pretty cool, and no cost, if you will, for the raffle to purchase to buy. Okay, so that's the way they're doing it. Rouse's, no purchase to buy, but they put the bourbon in baskets where they give you other stuff, a bottle of wine, maybe some vodka. So the bottles are not an MSRP, where Ambassador Wines did do it MSRP. So you're paying a little bit on the back end. It's not secondary prices, but it's not MSRP either. Then New News has one where it's a raffle. You got to buy a store pick, which I will go buy today. I don't need one, but they have a bottle, like a Maker's store pick. It's $60, and I'll get 2 tickets and put my 2 tickets in for that. So you do have to buy a bottle to get into the raffle for an opportunity to buy other bottles. All right. So everyone's doing it a little bit differently. I really can't blame the stores for doing that, because I have never flipped a bottle. Tried, didn't work out. And I'm not sure there's a bottle. Maybe there's one that you would flip that's worth it. I'd have to check. But there are some bottles there that I want, and there's some other bottles that I don't. Now, would I buy the bottles and maybe trade it for something else? Maybe, right? Like if let me see here. Oh, I got it on my phone. Let me see. Probably should put it on. Put it on the show. Let's see what the New News bottles are. Are these the New News bottles? Yeah. Okay, so they do have a Pappy 12. All right, so they have a chance to win a Pappy 12. See, I don't know if I would flip that one. I may keep it. It's not worth quite as much. But I bought a Jack 10, but I'd like a Jack 12. I got a Blanton's Gold. I don't necessarily need a Booker's. I have an Elijah Craig 18, although, who likes Elijah Craig 18 is Moscona. So I could buy that. He would actually pay me for that and probably give me another bottle. There's a Thomas Handy like an Elmer T. Lee, like that. I have one of those. Don't need a second one, but I could probably trade that. So there's a couple of bottles, like a Thomas Handy. I don't necessarily need that. That's a lot of money. So there are a Blanton's Gold. I got one of those. So there are bottles that will be available that I could get that I could probably trade. So, and I'll get a bottle that I really don't need, but I don't have. So I will put those links in. The new thing isn't a link; it's just a picture. So you got to go buy. It'll be pictures. You got to go buy. You got to go to New News in Youngsville. So, not getting paid for this. So we just did it anyway. So that'll be that. All right, and we'll see how the weight loss goes. Again, I'm only trusting my scale. I don't know. So it's Passover starting tonight. I don't know why I started yesterday, but Passover starting tonight. I did have some popcorn at the ball game on Saturday, but I weighed in low on Sunday. Usually I'd have a pizza today because I can't eat bread for a week, but I'm not going to do that. But I did have caramel corn. And again, most of the caramel corn was eaten, and then I weighed in. I was getting 210.2. Now, I don't know if I put on 5 pounds today or yesterday. But I eat stuff again that I don't normally eat. Like I don't eat peanut butter and jelly on a regular basis. For Passover, I do. All right. I don't eat bologna on a regular basis. For Passover, I do. I don't know why. I will go get, you can go get a small jar of tomato sauce and go get some mozzarella cheese, and you can make a pizza, right? And, put it on the matzah and put it in the toaster oven and eat it. I don't usually do that. So we'll see how that goes. But I weighed in at 10.2 that's more than 19 and a half pounds. That's more than 19 and a half pounds in 2 months, Valentine's Day. So pretty, maybe 9 weeks. Yeah, more like 9 weeks. So that's pretty good. So we'll see where we are. And the Passover thing, it'll prevent me from screwing it up. Like I screwed it up Thursday. I went to go get my mom and happy birthday, Mom. All right, Mama Schultz. We won't say the age, but her birthday was yesterday. I went to go get a couple birthday cards and, bought 2 things of almonds, which are relatively healthy, but if you eat too many of them, they're fattening, some Starburst, and a box of bit of honey. And 80% of that was gone within an hour. Like the second little container of almonds lasted a few days, and I had that stomach ache. And by the way, the reason I went down to 210 is because that all came out Saturday and Sunday, one way or the other. That's the TMI portion of the show. All right, we've already gone for more than 45 minutes. Really appreciate it. By the way, Locked On Sunbelt, we're almost up to 1,200 subscribers. That'll be a big help. Still have to figure out the artwork on the Schultzycast. We will have Matt Daggs and Jerry Glasgow, for that fact of the matter. We'll post that stuff. I do have some questions about, where Josh Alexander is and the strategy of pitching to Brown and Barthol with bases open, and Langevin and Torres kind of on their own. They're not getting, I don't think they're getting signals. I could be wrong about that. Maybe Torres is sneaking a look and I'm not seeing it, but Langevin's definitely not looking at his wrist, and it looks like Torres is calling the pitches. So maybe that's just a Langevin thing. Again, not a whole lot of repertoire, but nonetheless, every other Cajun pitcher looks at his wrist. So something we just picked up over the weekend. All right. Thanks so much for tuning into the Schultzycast. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And we will be back on Tuesday morning. Have a great Monday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.